we're going through the practice documents of KnowMorePlatform.com, and in this video we're going to see the design the Knowmore Way doc. Okay, we click on this document. Now this presentation introduces the standard design guidelines used to judge the PowerPoint test. Okay, now this is very important for you if you are going to appear the test now, and it is a must read for potential specialists. So if you are one of those specialists who are trying to get into this knowmoreplatform.com, and if you are preparing yourself for the test, you must go through this document which talks about designing the Knowmore Way. So it's a 26-page document where the content is rules based design, then basic design principles, no more design rules and resources, some resources that you can use. All right. Here they're saying design based on 3 rules and become a star performer. There are only 3 rules that you need to follow. What are these rules? The first rule is to design based on guidelines. Whatever the customer has given or whatever the client has given, you must follow those guidelines. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is basics. You need to know what are the basics of designing that you need to know. You need to know the rules that apply to any form of design, like alignment, consistency, spacing, like using white space and all. Those things are a must. Okay, now page 9, YouTube guides apply on every slide you design. Okay, now in page 9 you'll get some more information about this, and you can also watch those videos that I showed you in the previous video about YouTube guides, where they have explained a few aspects of designing on PowerPoint. You can go through that as well. Apply on every single slide that you are designing. Okay, the basics need to be there on all slides. Now the third important thing is to design at Knowmore. How do you design at Knowmore? General design guidelines you need to follow at the Knowmore platform. Okay, now they themselves have some guidelines which are to be followed on all designs that you make. So how to use icons, how to use photos, etc., that you will learn in page 14. Now there are two interesting resources that they have. One is about material design, how you can learn material design, and the other one is about the UI. UI means your user interface design. Okay, now you can open these links in a new tab, so I can show you what are those particular websites that they're referring to. The first one for material design is material.io/design. Here there's a small course or something which will teach you about different aspects of material design. Okay, if you want to do great, you should go through this particular documents, and where they are talking about different material foundation, environment, layout, navigation, color, how you use all these things to get an awesome design. Okay, that's the first website. The second one is refactoring GUI. GUI is graphical user interface. Here also they have some courses, some short courses and articles about designing. Okay, these will also help you in getting your designs on PowerPoint for knowmoreplatform.com. So these are the 3 steps. If you can remember or if you can implement in your designs, you can become a star performer. The next one is designing according to the guidelines. Designing according to the guidelines will make everybody happy, like we talked about in the previous video. Examples of guideline elements: 1 of 2. Now I told you about the guideline, the master guideline. Here they're talking about that exactly. They call it slide frames. These are invisible guides that work like borders. Okay, the client content has to fit within this area and align to the edges. Okay, so this you need to understand when you are working on a live client project. How to use it? Everything is written on this document here. You can use the guides, how to test, and exceptions. Testing is very easy. You put the deck in slideshow mode and you flip through all the slides so that you can see if everything is consistent and falling within that invisible dotted lines. All right. The next one is examples of guidelines element 2 out of 2 where they're talking about colors. Now you do not use any of these colors, any of these standard colors or added colors to the slides. Okay. You need to use only the primary colors and the secondary colors, all the accents that are there on each of these decks. They've mentioned very clearly that most clients of Knowmore has a conservative color scheme with limited use of high contrast colors. So you should not use high contrast colors a lot on your PowerPoint presentations. Okay. Consequently, you should limit the use of highlight colors. All right. The next thing is study all the details in the guidelines to get a good project rating. Details can be like headline style, title formatting like font size, type, color, those things, subtitle formatting, sticker location, table formatting, text formatting, icon style and formatting, logo, where should be the logo, should it be here on the or on the top or on the left corner. These things you need to remember and maintain consistently on all the slides. Then slide number, where should it be, source and footnote, then text box formatting, bullet point formatting. I told you earlier as well, bullet points can be square or circular, but based on the specific guidelines for that particular project that you are working on. Then graph formatting, data label, XY axis formatting, graph legend, should you have those legend or not. All these things will be there in the guidelines. Client guidelines are sometimes comprehensive. Okay, everything should be there normally, but sometimes there can be something which is missing, and at those times you should be asking the admins for proper guidelines. So make sure you study. If you want a good reading, you should be completely aware of the client guidelines before you start working. The next is study the guidelines before you begin designing the to avoid rework. Is the same thing that I talked about. Here, if you have studied the guidelines properly, it's very easy. You study the guidelines, you make the slides, and you get it approved, and you get a 10 rating. But when you do not study the guidelines, there is a long process where a lot of rework is required, and you get only a 6 rating, which is not good for any of the specialists who want to get to the level 5 very quickly, right? All right, the key takeaway here is you will have a higher effective hourly salary and better rating when you study the guidelines before starting to design. Okay, so read the guidelines. Then basic design principles you are expected to know and follow, like alignment, consistency, focus, and spacing. These are the 4 things that you must know for basic designing. Okay, and these may not be there on all the guidelines. You should know about this and maintain these things when you create those presentations on live projects. Now, basic designing principles. All right, the key takeaway here is the basic design principles are needed to be followed as a minimum for a project to be approved. Okay, these 4 principles are must. So remember this, if you are actually applying a test and if you are following these 4 principles, there are more chances that your candidature will be accepted for the next rounds. All right, proper spacing makes the slide look harmonious. So you can see here's the icon and the circle around has good spacing, and here there is no spacing. So this should be your better design. Okay, bring the slide to display mode and see if the spacing makes the slide pleasant for the eye. Similarly, alignment, see this looks better and there's a misalignment here. Always check alignment before you submit your slides. Admins or clients notice mistakes very easily right away. Okay, so it's better that you pay attention. This slide we have seen earlier as well. If the slides are not consistent, the design does not matter. Okay, so everything should be consistent. All these slides are consistent, they look similar, but here the slides are different. Here logo is missing, here the color is different, the title is also misplaced. So you must think of keeping everything very consistent when you are about to submit your slides. Again, they are asking you to put it on display mode, which is on full screen mode, and go through each of the slides to double check it before you submit. If everything is important, then nothing is. So you cannot have everything important on your slide. This is a very important message. Just pay a little more attention on this. Now they're saying you cannot have a slide where everything is important, like this important, this important. There are three elements in this slide and all three are important. Not possible. Okay, so if you have multiple elements, you must highlight one of them. Like here, if you see that there are three elements in the slide, but all are important. I understand, but this one is the most important element, and this is highlighted by this red mark on the top. Okay, so this is how you should design your slides. You cannot have everything that is there on your slide equally important. Something should have the focus. Okay, now they've also said here as a key takeaway, you will have a higher effective hourly salary and better rating when you study the guidelines before starting to design. Please study the guidelines. Next is follow these rules, get a good rating and earn more. So you should have icons, guidelines, content, graphs, and creativity within the guidelines. You should not cross the guidelines or go out of it, and you should be creative enough to adjust everything within that given guidelines, or the invisible lines that we talked about earlier. Okay, so that's how you design in KnowMore platform. All right, icons don't look nice, they make it easier to understand text. Now they are talking about the icons here. Icons should aid the audience in understanding the message faster, otherwise it's just adding noise. So only when you think that the icon will help the audience to read through the slide better, only then you add icons. Why should you add icons? Icons help the audience understand the message faster. Where you should have the icons, icon help the audience, and okay, they're the same thing again. So icons should be normally before the text. Okay, before the text or on the top of the text, because that should create an urgency, or it should pull the attention of the reader to the text. The icon after the text does not add any value, and it is only adding noise to your slide. Okay, there's a mistake in this slide. They should clear it or fix it fast. Now how you should put the icon: use the one set of icons and follow instructions no on the next page. Okay, so you should have only one set of icons. You should not have different multiple icons looking very different. Okay, icons should be very consistent in size and looks as well. Use logic and consistency to get good results with adding icons. See, all the icons here are looking similar, so this is consistent. Please use icons before the text, so the icon aids the audience in understanding the message faster. So see this construction and this construction. Here the icon is after the text, it doesn't add any value. Okay, so don't do this. Here also you can see these icons are consistent, even though look different sizes, but they're looking similar. But here the icons are not similar because of the added colors. So don't mix styles, stick to one line thickness. Okay, here also if you want to blow up the icon, blow up the size of this circle if you want. Okay, don't make the icon bigger, it doesn't look good. All right, so that's one way of using the icon. Here they're saying the world's best designed slide is worthless if any of the client's content is missing. So I talked about missing content earlier also. Ensure that you do not miss out on any content that the client has given you, otherwise the client will never return for more tasks. Okay, the same thing that they have explained in a graphical manner. All right, here there is a mistake in the in the text. Anyways, I'll read it out. Some of these clients, one of these clients said that I loved the design of the slides, but you guys deleted two of the bullet points and I had to make something up on the spot during the presentation. Can't trust you anymore and will never use your service again. So we never want to get into this kind of a scenario where the client does not want to get back to us. We want the client to hire us again for more work. Okay, only then all of us are happy. Now graphs should be easy to understand. Now we're talking about the graphs. Here you can see, if you compare the top one and the bottom one, here all the names are given, but here they've used logos, okay, logos of the companies. Also, y-axis is removed, it is not required, okay, some space is removed, it's looking better now on the top. Then unit of measurements, they've just given billions here, okay, rather than writing it here. Then data labels outside and no grid lines. There are no grid lines like this, and the data labels are given on the outside so that it's easily visible. Okay, so this chart is looking much better than this one. Okay, so this is how you should construct or create your graphs for your PowerPoint presentations. All right, next is brush up. Now, brush up means cleaning the slide without creativity. We have talked about brush up earlier as well. So just one thing that you need to remember here is that you do not need to be creative. Okay, clean up and ensure consistent formatting according to the client's guidelines. Don't be creative, don't add icons and change the structure. These things will do in the visual enhancement projects. Now, in visual enhancement projects, we do not do only what we're doing on brush up projects. We're doing a lot of things in addition to brush up projects. Now here you can see visual enhancement means improving the structure and visuals. Visual enhancement means where you are adding something to the existing slides, and also you are changing the structure. Okay, so here what should you do? Improve the structure, add new graphic elements. Okay, and or add new graphic elements if it is only required. It's not that since it's a visual enhancement project I have to add a new element. Only if it is required in your particular slide you will add a new element. Don't just change colors and call it visual enhancement. So they're not looking for only change of colors according to the guidelines. They're asking for something more to be added. Okay, now the next thing is creativity within guidelines. Two of three in concept. Okay, now visual enhancement is changing the structure and adding icons and pictures. Pro tip is read the actual text for context. Now you should be understanding, or you should be knowing what exactly is mentioned here on the left or on the input slide, so that you can enhance that slide in a much better way. Okay, so this is the input slide, and you can see once only when you know what is written here you can plan of the visual restructuring of the content. It's a timeline given, but it's not clearly visible, so they have mentioned a long road map and highlighted the one which is important. Okay, new elements were added, so do this whenever it is required. Example of visual enhancement, you have seen this slide earlier as well. Here also they have made some changes. They have added a new structure, they have added icons, they have added some lines here, and they have followed the guidelines of the clients. Now, other training materials. Now, this is very important for those who are just starting off with graphical design. If you are not habituated with using different resources, that this slide is very important for you. There are different places where you can get illustrations, icons, pictures, training materials. Content checker app is there already with them. But then if you're looking for some training materials, if you want to know more about graphic design, if you need some pictures or to use in your slides, if you need some icons to use in your slides or some illustrations, where can you get them? So these are the links that they have provided. Okay, you can go to these websites and get some resources for free, which you can use in your slides only when it is required. Now this slide also tells us that there are a lot of points or a lot of possibilities where you need to source your elements or source your resources yourself. You will not be providing everything that you need for that particular project. So if you need icons, it may be a case that the admins will not provide you that. So you should be able to know, or you should be able to source them yourself from websites like flaticon.com or icons8.com, like that. Okay, so these and or underlying information that is not properly written here, but you as a specialist should know that all the information that you're going to use, or all the elements that you're going to use on your PowerPoint presentation, may not be provided to you by the admins. Okay, so that's all we have in this particular video and in this particular document. I'm sure this will help you to understand how you should appear or approach the test that you're going to take, and how it is going to help you in your life projects as well. So all the links will be there, all the documents are there on knowmoreplatform.com/practice. I would suggest you to go through them one by one to understand or have a better clarity of each of these documents before you appear the test. Thanks a lot for your attention so far. I'll see you in the next video.